Hello, everyone. I am Joan Turner from the Greater Haverhill Arts Association, and I am here with a podcast that we've started doing, which was absolutely amazing, is Meet the Artist, because, as a board member, and today's guest is also a board member, we get to know each other on the board, but sometimes we don't get to know the other members, all the other members that are in the group. So this is really cool. A little bit about the Greater Haverhill Arts Association is that we are celebrating our 50th year anniversary, which is extremely cool, and we have a lot of stuff going on in general. Right, we have Arts Festival coming in September, I think, and an annual members meet coming up as well, and a number of other different things, student exhibits. So Greater Haverhill Arts Association actually has been very active all the way through the pandemic and whatnot. So if you want to know more about us, because we would love to have you as a member or just a sponsor, someone who's just interested in art. Okay, so www.haverhillartsassociation.com, or easier is GHAA.art. Okay, so you can do all of that good stuff. Right. So today I have with me fellow board member and artist, Maureen DeSisto. Hello, Maureen. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
I am doing awesome. Awesome. Thank you for agreeing to be on this podcast, this show. And if I remember correctly, you getting ready to exhibit, or you're already exhibiting somewhere? Where are you? Where's your
I
book?
have paintings at the Tewksbury Library, and I'm going to have two different ones this coming week. And my show at the Plastow Library in New Hampshire is just ending this week.
Oh,
And then
where
I'll
in
be
Plastow? Where in Plastow are you? I'm right on the Plastow line. Where in Plastow?
at the Plastow Library.
Oh, is that you said that, didn't you?
Yep,
I love it. Okay, and how long is that there for?
that's ending this week.
That's ending this week. Okay,
Yep.
all right. So I asked you to send me your bio and stuff. That was really cool. And you're an acrylic landscape painter. All right,
Yes.
the question, that when did you become interested in that? Have you been an artist like your entire life? How did you first become interested, my dear?
I pretty much, I started taking lessons when I was about 11 or 12 with Bill Swank in Salem, New Hampshire. He's since passed away. He was in his 90s. He died a couple of years ago.
Oh, wow.
Um,
He
but
was teaching in his 90s?
I think he was probably up until 90. He was teaching, but yeah, he was, as far as I know. I took lessons with him when I was in school, grammar school and high school, for a while until I graduated from high school, and then I went on to art school. But he was my first real art teacher.
That's
Um,
that that's amazing to me. I'm still stuck on he's teaching at 90. Yeah, I'm
he
thinking at
he
my age, I'm like, I
yeah.
don't know if I teach at
As
90.
far as I know, he was. He had some students. I don't know,
Uh-huh.
how many he had. I'm sure he cut down a lot, but
So I have a question for you. It says here that you draw directly on the canvas with the brush.
yes,
So what, and you use your acrylic paints and you're drawing on the canvas. Did you learn how to draw first? I always tell my students, learn how to draw first and then learn how to paint. And they're like, no, I just want to paint. Did you learn
yeah,
how to draw first?
oh yeah. I did drawing. I did pen and ink.
Oh, nice.
I tried a little pastel. I really didn't like it. I didn't like the dust.
Yeah, yeah.
I only did acrylic and I did some watercolor too.
Yeah.
But I do draw on the with the brush on the canvas directly. Yeah. But definitely I did a lot of drawing, and I did a lot of photography too.
I know, I was seeing that, and it amazes me how many artists are actually into the photography as well, which kind of makes sense because we like to kind of lay out the picture. We see something that looks amazing to us, and we're like, oh, well, we need to paint that or we need to draw that. Okay, so you like local landmarks, lighthouses. Do you have a favorite spot?
Um Probably I used to go a lot to Newburyport and Gloucester. I love Maine, Vermont. Um Oh, or anywhere around New England, really. New York City too. I did a
Really?
paint. I did a painting of the Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah. So yeah, I like um, East Coast.
East Coast stuff. That's like totally amazing. You've been in Methuen, and were you born in Methuen? You come from
Yes,
Methuen, yes. Oh, okay.
I'm still in the same house too.
Are you really?
Yeah.
See, that totally amazes me.
Yep.
So, and actually, sometimes do you actually do black and white paintings? Do you actually do finished pieces in black and white?
Yes, I paint in acrylic and
Ah,
just use black and white. Um, and I always liked black and white. I did it when I was in school, and I did black and white photography too. So what's this difference, painting or photography? And I think it makes the image much more vibrant. It's stark. It breaks it down into shapes. Um,
yeah, I agree with that. Sometimes when students are having a problem, seeing the gradations in the color,
yes,
I'll print off whatever they're trying to work from in black and white because you can really see, you can see the gray tones, you can see the black tones, you can see light grays, medium grays. So I think it actually helps them to see better as well. Okay.
yeah.
So amazing, amazing. So, uh, did you have a mentor? Was this 90-year-old your mentor, or did you have someone along the way who really kind of got you going? And
Well, he wasn't 90 when I took lessons from him anyway, but um, he was probably probably he was the first lessons that I took. I was always drawing. I used to draw Snoopy, all the comic stuff like that. That's how I started. My father did. He was a pretty good. He could draw, and he also played the accordion.
oh, nice.
My mother didn't have any artistic talent, but she was the one who usually ended up coming with me to the art shows and the outdoor shows and the Museum of Fine Arts. And she developed an eye for art, and she was a critical eye. She, even though she didn't paint, but she saw so much of it because I dragged her everywhere. Um, you know, but
That's good. That's
but
good. And that's exactly what happens. They see so much of it. And most people, unless it's another artist, they don't know what the medium is. Because my sister will say, I want a picture of this or that. And I'll say to her, well, what medium you want? Like that. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And so they don't actually know. But if they see enough of it, they know what they like and they know they have, like you said, they get a critical eye at some point.
yes.
So. So does she really sounds like she was very supportive of you because she went
She
to other
was. My
shows.
mother and father were both really
Nice,
supportive.
nice.
And my father he went to some of the outdoor art shows with me too. My my mother was carrying stuff. She would sit with me all day at the show, at the outdoor show, and carry stuff. And someone said, "Well, I hope you're paying her well." I'm like,
And yet,
"No, we're
what,
not.
pay?
No, we're not."
No, no, I know. I totally, totally. Same thing here. My family would, help me carry stuff and do this and that. And after a while, you just kind of take it for granted a little bit. They're going to
Yeah,
help you. So it's like,
yeah.
oh
Well,
yeah, 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 pay them. Pay them in artwork. Give them that artwork.
yeah. Well, they're both since passed away, so
Mine too. Mine too.
it's unfortunate, but you know.
I have a picture that I painted, an oil painting for my mother and father when I was 17 years old.
Oh, really?
And when I look at it now, I go, "Ugh," oh my God,
Yeah,
because technically it's really, But at the time, I thought it was just amazing. And of course, they said it was, you know what I mean? They just lied to this poor 17-year-old kid. It's like, oh no, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So they do. They encourage you and they have
yeah.
faith in you. So, so I know that besides going to Bill Swank, you also went to school. Where did you go?
I
Oh,
I went to Chamberlain Junior College
okay,
for commercial art, and then I went to Mass College of Art
and got a
for
BFA.
illustration.
Oh,
Yes,
nice,
yeah,
nice. Illustration, really? Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
I think that's why I like detail. Um, I like a lot of detail and realism, and I think that comes across in my painting. That's the way I
It
paint
does.
too.
It does. I like a lot of detail also, and I can remember in school the teacher going, get the basic shapes down pat. Don't be drawing in every little detail like Joan probably is over there.
Yeah,
And I used to get so mad because that would be exactly what I was doing.
yeah,
So you just knew me too well. But
yeah,
learn basic shapes, but I'm very detail oriented myself. I think the details make a big difference. Some people like very intuitive art or unrealistic art. They just
yes.
like shapes. It's what makes the world go round. I think it's absolutely awesome. So, as I mentioned before, you're a board member of Greater Havel Arts Association. And so tell everyone what you do for us because you're absolutely amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I get together, I put the programs together, which means I get the artists for the demos and I go out and scout for artists who want to do demos and try to come up with a variety of artists to that
And you do.
can,
I'm
and
like,
I try to get a little bit of everything that
yeah.
would interest everybody.
Yeah, you really, really do. You come up with some really unusual. Do you belong to any other art associations or just the wonderful Greater Havel Arts Association?
Right now, it's just Haverhill. Years ago, I belonged for a long time to the Andover Artists Guild and Lynn Arts and the AIGA in Methuen. And also, I did belong to Reading for a while,
Nice.
but now it's just Haverhill.
And we
So,
keep you pretty busy, so I don't see
yeah,
how you could possibly have time for anything else, Maureen.
yes, I'm not taking any phone calls from the other art associations.
Good, good, because we don't want them stealing you away. So tell everyone where your inspiration comes from, where do most of your ideas and your inspirations come from? And I know that we touched a little bit on local landmarks, lighthouses, farms, and it also says like women sweeping and washing dishes. And it just amazes me that something that mundane as washing a dish or sweeping, you can make it into a piece of art, which is quite
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes,
So
I like everyday scenes. I like slice of life type things. I like historical buildings, old cars, lighthouses, covered bridges, um, things like that. Um, anything covered bridges to me are New England, lighthouses are New England.
yeah, beautiful.
Um, things like that's pretty much what I get inspiration from.
Hmm.
Um, I do some portraits, not a lot. I don't really do commission pieces.
I was
Um,
going to ask you if you did commission pieces. No,
I don't. I might. I have done. You know, if someone asked me, depending on what it is, I might do it. It's not something I pursue. Um,
I totally understand that. Having to do a picture and having the pressure of time kind of takes some of the joy out of it for me anyway. And you never know when I first became self-employed, I would accept any commission because, I needed the money, I needed the exposure.
right.
And as one woman said, her husband had started his own trucking business, and would I do a truck portrait? And I went, "Huh?
Oh,
Yeah, what?" So, and of course, I said yes. And in hindsight, it actually was a very interesting picture. It was a big tractor trailer, and it's not something that I would have picked to draw or paint on my own. So, having to do that, I really had to look at it. And there's actually a lot of little things on there. Having done it, I don't want to do another one.
right.
It actually was a very interesting piece to do, and I was glad that I did it. But I
Well,
have to
sometimes
say,
that's what happens. You're glad to get out of
yeah,
your comfort
yeah,
zone, and it makes you do it. And it might have been a painful experience at first, and then you're happy you did.
yeah, yeah. I redid that one a couple of times. That was like, okay, yeah. So if you see something you like, you take a reference photo
Yes,
first. Okay, and
yes.
then what do you do with it? You kind of study it or do you recompose it? How do you do
S-
that?
Sometimes I do some sketches, then I start painting right away. I paint on canvas. I use Liquitex acrylics. Um, you
Just
know, I
Liquitex? Just
yes, I
Liquitex?
pretty much don't use anything else other than
Oh, good.
Liquitex. And I used to paint on masonite when I was in college. I now pretty much do canvas. I don't frame my own work. Most of my work is scanned at Image Tech, and he makes Image Tech in Methuen. He makes Tom Grassi. He makes my note cards and
Nice,
my prints that I do sell, and I do sell originals too.
nice. So
So
where do you sell them? I know you have a website and you have a
yes,
Facebook presence, all that good stuff. Where do you sell you, what will you sell your work?
well, my website is Maureen DeSisto-acrylicpainter.com.
Okay,
You can contact me through email. Usually, I've been doing shows at the local libraries. Well, with the pandemic, we've kind of shut down for a while. So, any opportunity I get, I'm doing the iHub show on Merrimack Street for May and June
in Haverhill.
in Haverhill.
Yeah, yeah,
So, um, now that things are opening up, I'll try to get out there and show the artwork as much as I can at the Tewksbury Library or wherever. Or so I'm always looking for opportunity, because if you don't show your work, it's at home collecting dust. Nobody sees it. Well, what good is it then?
yeah.
I like to try to get it out. Maybe it's not going to sell every time, and maybe you won't sell anything, but you never know unless you get it out there.
Yeah, and I think, with students, you do not teach, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay. The students, if they exhibit their work and they don't sell it, they actually get very upset, or at least some of them do. Okay. And they're like, my work is not good enough, blah, 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 this and that. I said, well, then mine must not be either. I said, most of the times I don't sell anything. You know what I
Right.
mean? You must
Right.
sell something. But, try to stress the importance of exhibiting, share your artwork. Um, when you're doing a show or an exhibit, it gives them a goal to shoot for. I think it's really important to exhibit your artwork. And I mean, if someone actually buys it, that's a
Yeah.
plus. But
Right.
the idea is get it out there, share it, and exhibit it. So I totally, totally agree with you.
Well, sometimes people are looking for a specific thing.
Right.
Something just moves them or hits them. People are hungry for nostalgia.
Yeah.
Um, Certain things from the past, whether it is an old building that was once there and no longer there, or some subject matter. I know I did a painting of Lawton's hot dog stand, and I sold the painting, and I sold prints and note cards, and I don't know how many people approached me. It took me several years to sell it. I had the painting for several years before I sold it,
Hmm.
even though I exhibited it. But I don't know how many people came up to me and said, "Oh, that's where we had my grandfather and his wife had their first date, his future wife." People had their
Nice.
first date there. It was a lot of memories and nostalgia, and
Hmm.
that's what struck a chord with people.
Yeah, you know what? I was just going to ask you what makes a successful piece of art in your estimation? And for me, I think when it does evoke some kind of feeling,
Yes.
that's yeah. So what is a successful piece of art? I mean, students will say, "Oh, one that sells," but from a professional artist's point of view, what makes a piece successful to you?
Well, it does have to evoke a feeling of nostalgia or some connection with the viewer, and it also has to have a good composition, good color. Um, it has to be pleasing to the eye, but also, it has to mean something to somebody. If you're going to buy that painting and hang it on your wall, obviously you made some connection.
Connection to it. I agree. Have you now at this? I'm asking from a personal perspective. Have you ever had a piece of work that people didn't like, or not because of technical? I had a piece that I did. It was a meditation piece because I do a lot of energy work,
Mhm.
and it kind of looked like a beating heart. It was a big 16 by 20, and people either loved that piece or they were like, "Oh yeah, that's really interesting, Joan."
Yeah.
Okay, this type of thing. But even though some people really didn't like, I still considered it a successful piece because it evoked the feeling, even if it was
Right.
like, yuck, what is that? That looks like an organ, blah, 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 this and that. So, so even though they didn't like it, I still felt that was a successful piece. And actually, that one did sell to someone who
Oh,
actually liked it. So, different folks, different strokes for different folks, right?
You're right.
But I've come to think that, as long as the piece moves you in one direction or another, then there's a certain amount of success there because they're looking at it, they're liking it, and not liking it, or whatever it might be. So I've had to rethink my thought process a little bit. So what's the funnest thing in creating your art? What do you like the most? Like for me, I probably don't cleanup is probably the worst part of it for me.
Yeah.
What's the most fun part of creating your artwork?
Probably beginning the painting, um, deciding what I'm going to do, just starting. Uh, I would
That
think
just
that
starting is the fun part?
I think just starting the painting, the very beginning, just putting the first few
Amazing.
strokes, or doing this, painting the sky, starting like that.
I think that's amazing. I find that not for me, again, students, that once I get them started, they're okay, that they have a hard time getting things started. Okay, so starting is the most fun part of the art. What's the worst part?
Probably paying to have it framed. Um,
But
that
why? Because it costs money?
yeah, it's they're very pricey.
That is
Um,
so honest. I love it.
yeah, that's probably yeah. That's and well, also, artists are terrible business people. We're terrible at marketing.
For sure.
Um, I think we just want to create. We don't want to be bothered with anything, you know, else, promoting ourselves or anything. So probably that's kind of, I
That's
think,
it.
I think for all of us, maybe, we're not very good at that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I don't like doing the paperwork. I don't like keeping track of stuff. I just want to sit there and paint or draw or make mandalas, you
Right.
know? Don't bother me with that stuff. Unfortunately, it's all part of it, isn't it?
Hmm.
All part of it. So that's the most difficult part. So, and now I know that you have some art pieces to show us. Do you have a favorite piece of your own art? Like I have a favorite of mine. Do you have a
Um,
favorite of yours?
well, I don't know that there's a favorite. I like different pieces for different reasons.
Right, good answer.
Um, I have a miniature here. I don't know if you can see.
Not yet. Come a little bit. Oh, maybe back up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now I can see the whole thing. Now come closer so I can see detail. I'm very nosy.
Okay.
What can I say? That's beautiful.
This is the church. That's the church in North Andover in the snow. This
Oh,
is a miniature. It's a real small piece.
oh.
You can see how small it is. I
Okay,
like to
this is the
paint.
original or is this a print?
This is the original.
Oh, cool. Cool.
So you can see how small it is, but I get some
Yeah.
small pieces like that.
So doing the detail on a small canvas, is that easier or is it easier on a larger canvas to get detail?
Here's another one of,
That looks like a photograph.
yeah, it's a covered bridge.
Wow, that's beauteous. Come
I've
closer.
got that. That's New Hampshire. So the detail, I think it's easier for me to do the detail on these, the small pieces.
Really? Okay.
I don't have a problem with it.
That's
Some
great.
people say, "Oh, how can you paint that small?" It doesn't bother me. I do a few pieces like that. I have a couple of bigger ones.
Uh-huh.
Here's my New York one. Um,
Oh my God. You
all
do
right,
love detail. Look at all that
see if
detail.
I can get it. Uh,
Is this a black and white?
this is a black and white. Yes,
Holy guacamole. That's beautiful.
that's Central Park on one
Ah,
of my little day trips with my mother.
well, wait a minute. Central Park, of what era? That doesn't look like oh, it's a horse and carriage.
Yeah, that's Central Park where they have the horse and
Oh, they
buggy
have
there.
buggies. Oh, okay. That is beautiful. That's gorgeous. That
Thank.
perspective in that is awesome. Good job. Nice. Very nice.
So that's an example of the black and white. I've got the lighthouse in Maine here.
Oh my God.
Oops.
Let me see those rocks. We always have a problem with rocks. Oh, nice, nice, nice. Oh, beautiful. Very nice.
That's Spring Point Light in Maine. And
Nice.
um, here's Barker Farm in North Andover. Whoop,
That's my favorite place to buy corn. They have the best corn there. Now, have you shown this to them?
I did, yes.
And what were they must have been impressed. That's gorgeous.
Yeah, they did talk about possibly purchasing it, but nothing happened. So
Well, I think you should go and remind them.
yeah, I think so
Go
too.
back. Oh, it's open now. It's open now. It's right down the street from me. It's open now. So I would walk in with it and say, "Yo,
Here's it. Whoops. Here.
oh, she's sweeping."
Yeah. Let me get.
Yeah, she's on glass. Yeah.
Yep. That's my mother sweeping.
Oh, that's your mother sweeping. I can
Yeah,
see
on
my
the
own
porch.
reflection in the glass. I'm making faces at myself. I
Yeah.
love it. That's your mother sweeping. That's
Yeah.
amazing. This
And
is
believe it
another
or
black.
not, this was very popular. Selling prints of that. A lot of people liked it. They liked the nostalgia of people sweeping their porches.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't expect that reaction. And my
Uh-huh.
mother at the time was alive. She was still alive and said, "Why do they want a picture of my back?" And I said, "Well, she was very shocked and she was like, 'Oh, please don't show that.'" And
I know it amazes me that they get like that, but you're right. I can remember when I was young, we lived in Medford, and my mother would go out and sweep the porch. And I
yeah,
just, we don't give it any thought. We just kind of forgot about it. And then you see something like that, and absolutely, it brings back those feelings. Absolutely.
yeah, and well, it's actually sweeping the porch is a lost art.
Yeah, it sure is.
It's true.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. We don't sweep porches anymore. Now
No,
they come and they blow them or whatever. They have those
yeah.
spinola things, but. Do you ever, now, do you have more pictures back there?
That's it. I think for now. Yeah.
Okay, so if people want to see more, they can look on your website and so
Yes.
on and so forth. All right, so my next question for you have you ever experienced like a slump or an artist block? I find that people, I get like a 75-25 split on that. Most artists say at some time they do experience a slump or what is known as an artist block.
Well, sometimes it's just that life gets in the way. I work full time in manufacturing, so
Right.
my weekends are my time to paint, usually, if I paint. So I find that for a while I wasn't painting. And then I did the painting at Noonan's greenhouse. Well, I went there and I sketched over in January. It's something we do, the Greater Haverhill Art Association does every January. And when I
We
came
have a
home,
blast. We have a blast doing that, by the
yes,
way.
and I just sketched. I didn't paint, but I found that being around other people and sketching and looking at what they're doing too, I went home and I started painting again. So it got me painting again. So sometimes just something like that, you know, um, well,
So you
you
can
think
get
with the
into,
pandemic,
yeah, I was just going to say that with the pandemic, that, people were kind of stuck at home a little bit. So were you home or did you
no,
actually? Oh, okay. So,
I worked through the whole full time through the whole pandemic, but I lost my aunt exactly a year ago to ovarian cancer, and that I had a lot of responsibilities with that. So I wasn't painting or in the mood to paint. Let's put it that way.
sure.
Um, so things like that. Some that also affects whether you're painting or you're not too.
Correct. Yeah, sure. Okay, and then you think like you have a slump or life happens and you kind of take a little bit of a break or you're just not motivated to do it. And then something like painting at the greenhouse or being around other artists. And
Yes.
I think that that does create a breakthrough, if you will, a breakthrough of sorts.
Well,
So,
even just going to an art museum and seeing or a local show or the Museum of Fine Arts or whatever, sometimes that will inspire you and you'll come home and say, oh, I want to paint something, or I should be doing this,
Yeah.
because a lot of times you start a painting and don't finish it.
Do you
I
do
have a
you know?
couple.
I do too, and I have four students that take private lessons, so they choose the subject matter, and then we just kind of they do it. We do a step by step type thing. So if it's not something that I would have normally picked for myself, typically that remains unfinished. But if
Right,
I stop them because I want to do them, then I always finish them. Maybe not right away, but I
right.
always finish them. So
If you're not interested in what you're painting, that's sometimes with commissions. If you're not interested in this subject matter, it's
yeah.
not as you're not into it. You're not as it's just not as fun. It's just not something you want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's the general problem with commissions anyway. And the
Yes,
other thing, and you might find this true, and you can confirm this or not, but when someone commissions you to do a piece, they usually have something very specific in their mind's eye.
right,
So, they're talking to you, telling you what they want, and you're getting your own pictures. So, and then you might come up with something totally different. My brother, when he was younger, had a band, and they were called Dog Rockets. And he wanted to create like a card and a business card and backdrop and this and that. So I'm there with my sketchbook, and I'm like, okay, what do you want there? And he's like, oh, we want this and we want that. And so I said to him, well, let me draw a quick sketch, and then afterwards I'll show it to you. You can okay it. So I spent like a mega amount of time on this sketch, and when he saw it, just the look on his face, I'm like, okay, this is totally not what you wanted, is it? And he goes,
right.
well, it's nice. And I said,
Yeah,
all right. So I tore it off, and I'm like, and it was totally, totally different than what he was picturing in his head. So
yes,
that, when you're doing a commission piece, typically people are paying a significant amount of money for you to do that.
yep.
So you want them to like it, certainly. So yeah, commission pieces are tough. They're tough. I have a student who does house portraits, and she does
Oh,
commissions, which is a little bit better because you take a picture of the house, you know what they want.
yeah,
Commissions can get pretty tricky. I agree with you there.
yes.
So do you have a horror story? That was my horror story. It's a good thing it was my brother because he was like honest enough to go, "Ah," and do you have a story like that? Because you have done commission pieces, yes.
Let me think. What did I don't really. Well, there was an episode in Rockport where somebody didn't like. I showed somebody a painting I did, and they did not like the frame.
Oh,
Um,
the
and
frame?
yeah, there was the frame they didn't like, and they didn't like where I signed my name. So yeah,
Yeah, that's picky.
so I said, yeah, okay. So
Yeah, okay.
but I still have the painting, and I have not changed the frame because I thought it worked. And sometimes, I mean, you listen to what other people say, but at some point you say, I think this is fine.
Yeah.
You really, it's hard to sometimes stick to your guns, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah, sometimes you have to. I mean, like I say, if it's a commission piece, I'm more likely to listen. Yeah, I want an oak frame around this, or I want this, or I want that. But when I was a teen, one of my pieces, I took it to be framed, professionally framed. And the person who was selling me the frame was putting all these elbows and stuff up against the picture. And he felt a certain frame looked best. And I did not.
Right,
Yet I did get the one that he suggested because I figured he was an older gentleman. He's been doing this for a long time. He probably knows more than me, and I regretted it. I regretted it for as long as I had the picture. Because every
right.
time I would look at it, I'd go, that frame just doesn't do it. That frame just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah,
So you are absolutely right. I admire you because, like I said, as a teen, I was like, all right, well, he must know what he's talking about. I'll get it. And hated it, hated it, hated it. So you're smart. You're smart to listen to yourself.
Well, it's not always easy, I'll tell you,
Not,
but
is it? Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Absolutely not. So, okay, so I think we said you do not teach. You definitely sell your artwork.
Yep.
How did, like, if someone likes your artwork, do you take different forms of payment, Venmo, Cash, PayPal, Zelle, check? Are you, how do people do that? And some people even pay in cash, although a lot of people don't know what that is.
Yeah. Well, cash or check usually, if I sell anything, I don't make my living doing this, so um
Yeah, well, that's probably a good thing. If I had to make a living out of pieces that I've sold, I probably wouldn't do too well. But because I teach and sell
right.
a few people, then I'm okay. So
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So unless there's anything that you would like to add, tell people again your website, how they can get a hold of you, tell them your email address, and anything else you want them to know about you, my darling.
Okay, I have two paintings in the permanent collection at Enterprise Bank in Methuen on Broadway.
Well,
This see
permanent collection. What's a permanent collection? It's like there forever. They
the
bought it.
the
It's there.
bank Enterprise Bank bought two paintings of
Good for
buildings of
you.
Methuen several years ago.
I love it.
Um, yeah, so I have that, and yes, my website is Maureen DeSisto acrylic painter.com.
Spell DeSisto. It's D-E, capital S-I-S-T-O.
Yes,
DeSisto. Okay.
yep. And you can contact me through that, or my email is mdes335620 at aol.com. So, and you'll see, you could always call the Greater Haverhill Art Association and go to that website and contact
Through
somebody.
there. I was going to say the same thing. All the members are listed on the website. So if
Yes,
someone sees and as they like or they want to look you up, it's really easy to do it that way.
sure. Yep.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'm usually at the shows, or I'm usually at the demos that we have.
Yeah.
So people should come out and buy art and see art, especially now the weather is good and things are getting better. And
Yeah, yeah. And
um,
we're going to be outside. GHA is going to be outside. Do you know off the top of your head? I know I'm putting you on the spot. When our park, Arts in the Park, call it Arts Festival. Is that September? I know we've been doing them in
it's
September.
usually September
Yeah. Okay.
in Bradford Common. I haven't done it in years.
Are you in it
Um,
this year, I hope?
I don't know, honestly. Well, if I don't know. It, I really don't know because
We'll talk her into it. We'll talk her into it.
I haven't done outdoor festivals in a long time.
Yeah, they're not the easiest thing to do. You got
No.
to make sure that you really pack the artwork, and if it's inclement weather, you have to have a backup plan for that. So I can see that. I could see
Yep.
that. Very cool. Very cool. So once again, my dear, thank you so much, not only for your beautiful art, but for everything that you do for us. And remember,
Well, thank you.
you are so welcome. And everyone else, ghaa.art, and you can look Maureen up and you can get on her website and you can look at all the beautiful artwork. And it is gorgeous. I did take a look. You're absolutely awesome, my dear.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Well, thank you for being a good moderator.
Well, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And you're a good interviewee.
Oh, well,
So
thank you.
you made it easy. You made it easy, my
Oh,
dear.
good.
All right. All right.
All right.
Well, see you at the next board meeting.
Oh, I'll be there.
Okay.
All
Bye
right.
for now.
Bye.